Do you see what's happening right now? Don't you think this is weird behaviour? Weird behaviour. Weird behaviour. Weird fucking behaviour. Why the fuck would you make an entrance music video of yourself playing a game of grab the dick with your cousin in your lounge room? Why is this even fucking happening? It's not even the most confusing thing about this story. And here, right now, on the GBYWN Australia podcast, we're going to find out more when we hear about the Ballad of Tim Justice. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the GBYWN Australia podcast. I'm your host, as usual, Aston. And here today, well, I'm doing a solo podcast. I haven't done one of these in a while. They feel awkward, but I'm going to give it my best shot. And today, I'm doing, I guess, a special bonus episode of the podcast. This will be a private podcast just for the boys, as I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, even though they're probably already as hurt as they ever will be. This is called The Ballad of Tim Justice. We all know Tim. We all know what he's been like over the years, but some out there may not be aware of every single thing that happened over the years between myself and Tim and some of the other boys in the Warzone Wrestling Alliance. And this podcast is for you, Wicked Nick James, because you asked for it. You wanted to know the ins and outs of everything that happened over the years with Mr. Justice himself. And I'll start this off with a bit of background to Tim Justice. I met Tim in the ICWS in 2011. I had made my return at a show called Winter Warfare. And at Winter Warfare, that was the first time I ever met Tim, and Tim had only been there, I think, maybe 2, possibly 3 shows at that point. So you can imagine he's probably about 15 years old, wide-eyed, excitable. All he wanted was to just get better and better and prove himself to everyone else. You could see that in him. He showed a lot of respect to a lot of people and was just there to learn. Soon after I had made my return to the ICWS, I had a match with him at Halloween Hell 2011. And in my opinion, one of the best matches Tim ever had. And one of the best ICWS matches I think I'd ever had. For whatever reason, that day we had lightning in a bottle. We had a great match. I mean, it really was something that no one really expected to see. And I think it really helped Tim in his improvements as a backyard wrestler in the ICWS. I do recall, soon after this all happened, and I guess as Tim started his tag team with Dan Zeppelin, I remember this obsession that Tim had of being under the lights in front of a live crowd at a pro wrestling show, and it was eating at him, and he always kept on going on and on about it, and I would try to convince him every single time, dude, now isn't the time. Just enjoy the time you have with your boys here in the ICWS. Enjoy the time you have with your friends, because these will be memories that you'll have that will last you a lifetime. If you cut it short now, you'll lose the potential memories you could create. Each and every time I talked him down from it, because look, if you start training at 15, 16 years old, it's going to take you like 2-3 years to probably get on the card. So I thought it wasn't a good idea for him at the time, also considering he didn't drive a car at the time. So I thought, just stay with your friends for a while. You can do pro wrestling anytime you want. But he was adamant about it, and I'll get back to that very soon. Obviously, Tim's win-loss record during his time in ICWS wasn't the most flattering of win-loss records. I don't think he won until his second last ICWS match. Along the way, though, he really was showing improvement along the way, and he had a great match with Mike Del Cano for the ICWS Championship that brought the house down. And obviously the finish of that match saw it look like Tim had won the championship after having never actually won a match at that point. But the reverse of the decision was made by Chris Zeppelin in character, obviously. That was just the story that was going at the time, but still, it was a pretty cool moment, and it looked like Tim had actually won the championship, but he hadn't. He'll go on to feud with Dan Zeppelin, and it looked like he was about to start getting a higher spot in ICWS after he did defeat Dan Zeppelin via a roll-up pin at one event in 2012. And just as that was happening, he decided to leave for EPW. So the following show, he would lose a loser leaves town match against Dan Zeppelin, and that would be his last appearance in ICWS at the time. Now, on the flip side, in WCWA, just before all this happened, he joined them before any of us did. And my assumption is that so he could be a big star somewhere else, and he could be the authority of how to be a wrestler to other people. That's just an assumption. I don't know if it's exactly how he felt, but knowing Tim, I wouldn't put it past him. So him and Lowe were in the WCWA doing the trampoline era. He was supposed to win the WCWA title from Jack at Frostbite 2012. I took over booking around that time, and I thought to myself, well, I don't want Tim to be the champion because he's not very good at cutting promos, and I'd rather be on Jack right now until I figure out a better plan. So I let him know that he wasn't going to be winning the championship, and this was the first time Tim had ever blown his stack, anger-wise, not shooting cum from his dick-wise, blew his stack at me and ripped into me about how dare you fucking come in here and you fucking take over. I specifically remember lots of F-words and F-bombs. How fucking dare you come in here and take over and take this away from me? This is fucking bullshit. You know, called me all the worst things in the world. And I think eventually at one point I did kind of think, or maybe I will just give this one to him, you know. And at this point I didn't know he was going to pro wrestling. But I was thinking of maybe I will give it to him, you know, because maybe it is a bit unfair that I do this. But then he says he's leaving to do pro wrestling, and Frostbite, the first event with a ring, would be his final show with WZWA. So he informed me that he was going to be doing pro wrestling training, and he still asked, though, to win the championship in his last match. And I say no because it's not fair. It's not fair on anyone else who's sticking around. You can't have someone win the championship and then have me vacate it the first show that I booked for WZWA. It doesn't look good. He ripped into me again, made a massive fucking deal about it. This is fucking unfair. How can you fucking do this to me? I told him he was going to get a nice send-off, and if he would have listened to me, maybe he would have understood that. He apologizes after this big message I send him and says I'm a great booker and blah blah blah. You know, he even went in the thread and messaged everyone and said, listen to this guy, he's got great ideas, I feel really bad, I'm a bad person because I had a go at him. And it was all forgiven. It was all forgiven. So he leaves WCWA as a wrestler, but at the next event, between that show and the next event, Tim asked me if he could be a part of booking, because it was his dream to be a booker and be a part of management in WZWA. And I was umming and ahhing about it, and I was like, well, you can just help me out if you want. You know, if you want to help me, then that's cool. But let's not go around saying you're management. And then because he specifically said, can I please tell the guys that I'm a part of management? It's like he was obsessed with the thought of being in an authority type spot where he will be given respect and given, you know, people's admiration. I don't know, but he was obsessed with this thing about being put up on a pedestal and being shown love and respect at all times. I mean, of course we show love, he's our friend, but he was just so obsessed with being put up on a pedestal and be seen as something that is higher than the rest of us. And it was always really weird to me that there was just such strange behaviour. Like, why was he so obsessed with that? I never understood it. Because, like, there was always times where he would, like, just lose his shit because he felt like he wasn't being given the appropriate respect. And he'd always put himself in a position where he'd talk to us, talk down to people. And I don't think it's in a malicious way, but he would talk down, like, you know, because he'd done 3 weeks of fucking pro wrestling training and now he suddenly knew fucking everything. And so he'd go in the thread and try and start up, as we saw in the thread, try and start up a discussion about what do you see your character being? You know, stuff like that. And it's like, dude, shut the fuck up. You've been doing training for 3 fucking weeks. Shut the fuck up, you know? And obviously we shut him the fuck down when he would do that kind of stuff. So it's just constant drama, really, at that point. He always wanted just the adoration, the notoriety. But I will say this, he was very helpful. He did come and help set up the shows. He did build the set. He did help get lights sorted and stuff like that. But once his ploy to be in management failed, he then decided, the thing I want to do is I want to be the ring announcer. So he gathered everyone's information, weight, height, I don't know, where they're from, what their character name is, all that stuff. And he had it all written down on a clipboard at Road to Ruin, the second show that I was in charge of. He had it all written down on a clipboard. And he did the ring announcing. And then I guess he kind of figured, maybe about 3/4 through the show, that no one gives a shit that he's the ring announcer. And I'm pretty sure he just abandoned the whole thing and he never mentioned this ring announcing gig again. And it was just, to me, again, another time where it was just peculiar, the way he was acting. Like, he was so obsessed with this new job as a ring announcer for WCWA, and then just forgot about it because he realised it wasn't what he wanted to do, or whatever, I don't know. It's just strange behaviour once again, and please bear with me, we will get to the juicy stuff soon. So at that time, he wanted to return to WCWA 2 shows later under a mask, because he's doing EPW training. He can't fucking have his face all over WCWA. So I came up with the idea of the Great Shinigami, which was basically kind of like a rip-off of the Great Muta, a Japanese wrestling star, and I thought that would be a cool name. And I think it's like the Great Black Death or something like that. I don't know. It means something like that. So he wants to be back in WCWA, and, well, we needed the numbers, so I thought, why not? So he comes back as the Great Shinigami, and I believe Hardcore Hell 2012, losing to J7 Bloodstone. But after that, his obsession with hardcore matches truly began. And my feeling was that he thought he could be seen as one of the best by stealing the show with big, dangerous high spots, you know, jumping off things or using weapons or being hit by weapons. And, you know, he would ask for hardcore matches, even if it wasn't a situation that garnered a hardcore match. And if I said no, he would crack the shits at me so fucking hard. And I'd be like, can you calm the fuck down? Look, this match doesn't need a hardcore stipulation. We already have enough of them. The Backyard title's a hardcore title right now. Can you just fucking calm down and have a fucking proper match with this cunt? So anyway, as time's moving on, we get to Resolution 1. And he joins the Black Carnival, which is Dark Ice's stable at the time, which was filled with an array of masked characters: Yoshiaki, Esqueleto, Scream, the Great Shinigami, and of course Rex Regan was kind of like Ice's number 2 in the group. And you know, this group was basically built so that Ice could be relevant in storylines whilst he dealt with psoriasis. And basically the workhorses of the group would probably be Tim and Rex, because the other guys are just the jobbers, but they're there to make it look like a real stable. So Tim and Rex would be doing all the heavy work for Ice, because Ice couldn't wrestle at the time. But I do recall also, and this is really like where I'm starting to get a bit confused, at Resolution 1, it was actually his last show. Again, he wanted to retire again. Because he was against Kilowatt Chaos in a match for in the Hardcore tournament to crown the next GBYWN World Hardcore Champion. I'm sorry if this is boring, I'm trying. We'll get to the juicy stuff. So he loses to Chaos in that match, and that's his final match. But a few shows later, once again, Tim says he wants to return. And I'm like, for fuck's sake, can you just stay? Can you stop fucking leaving? Just like, you get worry that you're going to get caught out every few months and then you retire and come back when you realise that you're missing out on shit. So he returns and he asks for a title run. He says, look, I'm not going to be able to stay much longer, maybe till September or December or something like that. Could I have a title run? And I'm like, well, no. Like, what? I've got plans, I've got shit planned up until Resolution 2, and he's like, for fuck's sake, it's just not fair. And I'm like, how is it not fair? It's other people's turn. If you were to be Tim Justice and you stuck through it through all, several years, then maybe you would get something like that. But you can't just ask for a title run. You got to earn it. So he wants to leave the Black Carnival after a few months and feud with them. This is probably one of the more annoying stories about Tim. So I'm like, alright, I write a 6-month storyline, which culminates in a title match against Dark Ice at Christmas Carnage. The title match is basically what I'm giving him to make up for no title run, I thought it might be nice for him to main event one of the shows, be in the spotlight. But at this point, all he wants is hardcore matches. Hardcore match with Scream, hardcore match with Phaser, hardcore match with Rex Regan. Just every match he wanted it to be hardcore. And I'm like, why, dude? It doesn't have to be hardcore every time. But, 9 times out of 10, I do give in and give him the stipulation just so he'll shut the fuck up. So the storyline happens where he gets kicked out of the Black Carnival after a loss to Phaser. Basically, he was to be kicked out and put through a table and left laying. But he had this thing in his fucking head, his fucking stupid little head, that he wanted to get up after taking the chokeslam through the table as the Black Carnival were at the entranceway. And he wanted to get up and point to them to signify that he's after them. And I'm like, don't no-sell the table spot, dude. You just got chokeslammed through a fucking table. You don't need to point to them to signify you're going after them. We will tell that story at the next event. Tim's biggest problem was that he always wanted everything to happen immediately. He couldn't allow a story to play out over several events. He wanted everything then and there. And I try to explain to him that's not what storytelling is in wrestling. You have to tell the story from one show to the next to thread it through. So we are telling a story and we don't blow our load immediately and we have no story after 3 shows because we've already rushed through everything. So I tell him not to do it and to save it for the next show. I told him no to this one little thing. Because he also wanted to, later in the show, debut a new mask and new theme music and attack the Black Carnival. And I said, why the fuck would that happen? If you're going to be a stronger Great Shinigami, why would it be within the same event you just got chokeslammed through a table? Why would Shinigami have a second mask to put on and other theme music? It doesn't make sense. Why would that happen? Maybe at the next show there's a character change because he's a babyface now, but you don't fucking do it all in one show. You got to tell the fucking story. So when I told him no to this, he stomped his feet and said it wasn't fair. Like, was having a tantrum in front of me. It's not fair. Why can't I have my way? Why? Like, just yelling. And I'm like, dude, because it doesn't make sense. Do you not see how it doesn't make sense? Wait till the next show. If you do all this now, you're going to ruin this. Just wait till the next show. We've got to spread this out until December. I don't even know what month this was, but it was probably 5 or 6 months away. Just wait. Fucking hell. It still pisses me off now when I think about it. So, the match ends. And, you know, I'm Esquilita, I'm in the ring. I don't know who else was in there. I guess Rex is probably in there too. We attack Shinigami, and then Ice choke slams him through the table. And what did Tim fucking do after the match? He just got chokeslammed through a fucking table, and he's supposed to be helped to the back. He gets up, he goes to the ropes, and he points to the Black Carnival. So I told him not to do it, and he still fucking did it. So when I uploaded the match, I cut that bit out. And I think Jack was doing the recap. I asked for him to specifically make sure that that moment is not in the recap. So him doing it anyway got edited out because fuck him. Annoying cunt. Just so annoying. So him doing it was just totally removed from the history books, basically. And that's what you get for crossing the balls. At the next show, he beats Scream, which is his, like, big win on his way to his match with Ice. You know, Scream was portrayed by his cousin, Lo, and they had this hardcore match, and it was pretty dangerous, but, you know, we got through it. Time moves on. He wrestles Rex at Hardcore Hell, and this is all to set up the big title match with Ice. All this months of build-up. I mean, other things have happened during this time, and I'm pretty sure he missed one show at some point, but all this build-up for months and months. It was honestly 4 or 5 shows of stuff that had happened, and we were building up to Shinigami versus Ice, the feud-ending match, and we get to Christmas Carnage 2013, and Tim decides he wants to he's retired. He decides he's retired, so I wasted 6 months of story and bullshit to appease him, and the story got no conclusion. And Ice instead wrestled Phaser on the show. So on the show, Ice cut a shoot promo on him, mentioning the dick picture that he sent Lauren Reed. The infamous dick picture where he had like his little dick hanging out a shrub of pubes. And Tim obviously got very upset about that and was apparently crying about it. But, man, you pissed Ice off, dude. You pissed him off. You wasted his time. You wasted my time. You wasted Rex's time. You just wasted our time. We could have been doing something else with them for those 6 months. They could have been wrestling other people that deserve the fucking title shot. Anyway. Tim realises at the time, oh fuck, well I'm an idiot because the next show is Resolution and it's the biggest one of the year. So he asks me again if he can have one more match and retire. And I'm like, fuck dude, it's wearing real fucking thin now. Luckily for him, Rex breaks his finger in the Battlefield Brawl match at Christmas Carnage 2013. So Rex was supposed to be against Ice in the main event of Resolution, which now changes it to Alex Stone versus Dark Ice for the heavyweight title, which means at this point now Rex doesn't have an opponent. And I said to Chris, look man, the only thing I can give you is a match against Tim, and Chris wasn't fucking happy about it. But they had a really good match that day, to be perfectly honest with you. And Rex's story is a whole other story. He had a lot going on that weekend, but great match between the two of them. And finally, it's his actual retirement, and he doesn't come back after that as the Great Shinigami. So, time rolls on after this. After the match, I said, how about a hand for Tim, everyone? It was his last match. And he finally, he said, thanks, man. And I'm like, no worries. But in my head, I'm saying, fucking good riddance. It was just always a fucking nightmare with him. It was always something. He was never happy with anything. And that's another thing that I wanted to say, It always seemed like it didn't matter what story I came up for him or what he was doing. He wanted to do things his way. And if he couldn't do it his way, even if it didn't make sense, he'd be pissed off at me over it. And he never believed in any of my vision that I ever had for him. And that's something that pissed me off. Because if he only gave things a chance, maybe, just maybe, I have his best fucking interests on my mind. So, some other tidbits of drama, I guess, over the following 2 years. I'm just going to throw these out there for you. Tim hit on Jack's ex-girlfriend, Sammy, over Facebook. And Jack and Monet actually had Tim's password for his Facebook and would stalk his account. This is fucked up shit. They would look at the messages he'd send other people, girls and such. And he was a massive creep, apparently, to a lot of girls. And he would hit on other people's girlfriends or ex-girlfriends. It was really bad. He denied it, but Jack and Monet knew because they'd seen the messages. Here's another story. It's probably late 2013. It's been revealed at some point that Tim has been talking to Kyle's underage sister. She's probably about 13, 14 at the time. She was a naughty girl. So it can't be just Tim who's to blame, but she's pretty fucking young, dude. Maybe don't fucking go there. And I'm sure he instigated it, knowing him, but she was an underage girl, and she came to a lot of the shows, and Tim it got caught out. I don't even know how we found the conversation and how it got all spread around everywhere, but Tim had been flirting with her on Facebook Messenger and was trying to organise with her that during the next show at some point, those two would disappear and go to the beach together, and he was talking about trying to have sex with her. An underage girl. Tim's probably about 16 at the time, 17, and he's trying to organise sex with an underage girl who's probably, egging him on a bit, but at the same time, you should have the smarts to know that that's the wrong fucking thing to do. And it came out, everyone found out. Tim had to apologise in the thread to Kyle for fucking trying to root his underage sister. It was wrong, and just another example of something that he did over the years that was unbelievably wrong to do. It just goes to show the character he's always had. He can apologise until he's blue in the fucking face, but it doesn't excuse constant bad behaviour. Being bad, I'm bad. I'm a bad kind of guy. But I'm bad in the right way. He's bad in the bad way. He come on, she's underage. I mean, that's the wrong thing. Trying to fucking root your mate's ex-girlfriends, that's the wrong fucking thing. Flirting with your friends' girlfriends, that's the wrong fucking thing. And he did that constantly. It's like every bad thing you can fucking do in life. You got a bucket list of all the bad things you can do that will fuck everyone off. Tim did them all. At another point, I don't know when this was, but Tim hit on Chris's mum. Yeah. I can't remember the circumstance or what was actually happening, but I'm sure you already know this story, but he had been texting or Facebook messaging Chris's mum saying how, I don't know, hot she was or something like that, and pulling the moves on her. And, well, what the fuck did you think was going to happen, you dickhead? You think she's not going to fucking tell anyone? Chris's mum. It's the first thing she would do is tell Chris. I mean, you're a fucking fool, man. So Chris has been shitty at Tim for a long time over that. So Tim finally goes to the pro wrestling thing at this point. Spends a lot of time doing schwa and EPW. But once again, you could see the weird behaviour from Tim, because apparently he wanted control of the schwa Facebook page. He wanted to be in control of all that stuff, so they wouldn't give him admin rights to the schwa Facebook fan page. So he created his own page because he worked at the audio visual desk, and it was called Schwa Audio Visual Desk. And the picture was like of him, Tez, and some other dude that was a part of it. And it's like he's forced this thing upon them that they're a thing now, and they post updates on their Facebook page, and they've got like 3 likes on their fan page. And he's posting things, 3 days from the next event, who's excited? No likes, no comments. The day of the show, it's showtime, who's coming early? Or who's coming to the show? No likes, no comments. What a great show tonight, guys. What was your favourite match? No likes, no comments. This would last for the next few months. Barely ever got any likes or comments. And then he just, obviously, you'd look at the page. It's been taken down now, but you look at the page, you could see there was a point where he just gave up because no one gave a shit. But it's just another one of those things where he's trying to make himself important and for people to give a shit. But, like, no one did. And obviously there's a situation with his lying. Tim lies a lot. I don't know what it is, if he's got some sort of insecurities. Deep insecurities where he feels like he needs to lie about things that's going on in his life so that he looks cooler and feels more accepted. Fact of the matter is, he never got a blowjob under the decks at Shape nightclub DJing. He'd only been DJing for 3 months at that point. There's no way an unproven DJ will be put on at one of the hottest clubs in Perth. He never DJ'd at Amps because they don't have that kind of DJing there. They have someone play songs, actual like fucking songs, like The Strokes and shit, Kings of Leon and shit. So he lied about all these venues he'd played at, and he said, yeah, I got a blowy under the desk. You wouldn't know the girl though, she's from Sydney and doesn't have Facebook. Oh, how convenient, you fucking little pin dick cunt. How fucking convenient. Doesn't have Facebook and she lives in another city. Unbelievable. And we never heard of her before. He'd never mentioned her before. Fucking idiot. So he also, he ends up as a jobber in EPW as Koala Mask. And I went there to support him a couple of times. You look, all this shit that he's doing and all the embarrassing things about him, I still wanted to be his friend and support him as a friend. I remember one time he came over my house, and Ice and I were hanging out at my house, and he said, I just need someone to talk to. I'm feeling a bit down today. And he came over, and we sat there and talked for, 2 hours or something like that. Ice will remember this. Good chat and stuff, and he said that he injured his back at training, and he wouldn't be wrestling for EPW anymore. Pardon me. And afterward, he messaged me and said, thanks heaps. I needed that. Like, you guys cheered me up. So I don't know what's going on with him, Like, sometimes, I feel bad about the shit that I say, but then there's times like that where you see a more real side of him. And I know he's in there somewhere, but it's just, it's polluted with so much bullshit all the time that it's really hard to continue to look for the good in him. But, we all have our flaws. Resolution 3. So, he hadn't wrestled for WZWA since Resolution 2. Resolution 3 had come around. He had done the pro wrestling thing. It appeared he was no longer doing it. So, on the day, I think Monet had the idea, or Jack, or I think it was Monet. The idea was that JD Flame and the franchise were against myself, Blade, Ryan and Dan in a 4-on-3 handicap match. It was supposed to be something else, but that's another story for another day. But it was supposed to be 3 versus 3, but because someone didn't show up, Acid, someone didn't show up, so we threw Ryan into the team, and Monet came up with the idea. He said, well, why don't we add a 4th member of our team? So it's a bit more even. Like, seems a bit stupid that 3 of us would beat 4 of you. And I'm like, well, you know, technically Diffuser's probably your partner, but, you know, that didn't really matter because Diffuser was the one that chokeslammed all of us and ended the Elite Alliance, blah, 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 if you don't know what's going on. And I'm talking to Nick Johnston here because I think he's the one that wanted to hear this story the most. So anyway, he said, Tim's here. Tim's not doing pro wrestling anymore. Why don't we ask him to join our group to fight the Elite Alliance? It would be a really cool thing because, you know, all the way back in the day, Tim Justice got screwed by blah, 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 whatever. I was like, oh, that would be cool. Yeah, why not? So we asked him, you know, do you want to be the 4th member of their team against the Elite Alliance? It's like the biggest match ever. And the idea was that halfway through the match, Tim would turn on Team Franchise and JD Flame. He would turn on them and take off his shirt, and he's got an Elite Alliance shirt on. Then the Elite Alliance still loses. So then the story going forward from there would be Tim would have to try and prove himself again to the WZWA because he had just tried to screw them. So we already had an inbuilt story there with Tim screwing over the WZWA, it backfiring, and now he's got to fucking deal with the consequences. I thought it was a great idea. And he was like, yeah, maybe, I'll let you know. And I'm like, all right, well, you know, the show's in progress right now, so we need to know at some point later on. He just goes missing. He'd been there all day, he helped set up, he just went missing. And we never heard from him for the rest of the day or night. He was gone, and so I was just like, oh, well, I guess that's it then. Just see, once again, weird behaviour. Like, why didn't he just say, look, I don't really want to do it. Instead, he just left. Like, can't you just fucking talk to me? Anyway, going forward, you know, I've been trying to get him involved in WZWA at that point for quite some time. Because 2015 had started. And in 2015, you had Nick Ariel, Brian Lowe, Clint Marshall, Mike Delcano. I know there's a few more people. I can't fucking remember. But there was like 5 or 6 or 7 people that retired all at the same time. Alex. There's a whole bunch of people that quit at the same time. You know, they'd had enough. They'd had their run. They had fun. Sail off into the sunset. Well, now I needed to fill roster numbers because we had lost quite a lot of people. So I was trying for months to get Tim to come back. But he kept on coming up with excuses. And then, just randomly, one day, DJ had people at his house for a tournament. A random ICWS show because I think WZWA that day got cancelled. And after umming and eyeing all fucking year, saying that he's not ready, after all that, and he just makes his return to Backyard Wrestling on a random ICWS show. It was just to fill the day because we'd lost the WCWA event. It wasn't like a big ICWS show. It was just a random one with like 5 people there. And that was his grand return. I just thought, God, it's so weird. Like, wouldn't you want to make a big deal out of it and be at WCWA or like at a proper ICWS show? Why there? At All About That Bass? I mean, it was a cool show, but You know, pick your spots, dude. So the year progresses in 2015, and for me, I was looking at a change of character. You know, that's where the Aston Crude hit list began. So at Hanukkah Havoc 2015, that was supposed to be the show where I come out wearing the trench coat, talk about the hit list, leave no stone unturned. I'm going to settle scores that I've needed to settle all these years before the end of WCWA. And if anyone from the back has got a problem with me, then they can settle their score with me too, because I want all of us to tick off everything on the bucket list and walk away from Backyard Wrestling with no regrets. Well, I thought, what a great idea for Tim's theme song to hit at that point. Out comes Tim, because I wanted this to be a real shoot promo type character that I had, and he shoots a promo on me, ripping into me about, you took the WCWA title opportunity away from me, you stuck me in a mask in the Black Carnival, and I was just a jobber, I never got anything that I wanted. Just have him bitch and moan at me, and then I'd have my own back at him. You know, I'd have the chance to really get all my angst out from over the years, and I'd rip into him as well. And I told him this idea, and he fucking loved it. He was like, oh, yes, I love it. That's really cool. Any chance Tim has to be controversial or, you know, steal the show in some way, he'll take it. And he thought that this was a great opportunity, and I did too. I thought it was a great opportunity for him to come back. So he was really excited, you know, and I thought, you know, me and Tim got great chemistry when we wrestled. You know, it's been a few years now. It'd be cool to see how it goes. I thought it'd be a good match. Well, I get to Hanukkah Havoc, and we get to the day of Hanukkah Havoc, and I message him in the morning. And I said, hey, bro, pumped for today. And he messaged back and said, oh, man, sorry, I can't come, I've got work. And I'm like, we were talking like a few days ago about this. Like, did you not know you had work? Like, who am I supposed to fucking wrestle today? This is supposed to be the beginning of my new character. Like, I'm excited. You know, we've been talking about it, and he tells me on the day, and he doesn't tell me first. I have to message him to find out he's not coming. And he's like, yeah, I just forgot, you know, I've got work. You know, I've been on holidays from work. I was on annual leave. He said annual leave. And I'm like, okay, fucking whatever, no worries. And I forgot about it. Then I got to the show and I said to Jack, yeah, he said he's had annual leave so he couldn't have the day off work or something like that. And Jack was like, he only works like part-time there. So how could he have annual leave? And that store he's worked in has only been open like 3 months. And I'm like, well, did he just fucking lie to me? Did he just fucking lie to me that he's had annual leave? Like, how can you accrue annual leave if the store's only been open 3 months? You can't. So it was, you know, festering within me all day. I was pretty pissed off, you know. Did he fucking lie to me? So when I got home, I messaged him. I was like, bro, what the fuck's up with this? Like, did you lie to me? He's like, what are you talking about? Like, you've only been working there 3 months, you worked there part-time, and you've already had your annual leave? And he's like, yeah, I had annual leave. I had to go to Queensland with blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, alright, but, like, I don't understand how you have annual leave. Like, can you explain that to me? I'm not fucking lying to you. How dare you call me a liar? I'm like, dude, I just think you're lying to me somehow, that something doesn't compute here. How can you have annual leave if you've only been working there for fucking 3 months? Anyway, he sends me a picture of his ticket and says, see, I told you I wasn't lying. And I'm like, alright, yes, you probably did go to Queensland, but don't say the words annual leave, because it's not annual leave. You just got given a week off work. That's what it fucking meant. Don't say annual leave. That's why I got confused. I'm sorry for accusing you of lying. So you know when you apologise to someone? If you accuse them of something like that, you apologise to them. Now, I'm sorry, I just thought, when you said annual leave, you confused me. So, fair enough. You had a week off work, you had to go back, you couldn't take the day off. Okay, understood. He proceeds to continue going on about the fact that he wasn't lying. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I already fucking apologised. What the fuck else do you want me to say to you? And he kept going on about it. And I'm like, what the fuck do you want from me? I already apologised. Anyway, he just keeps fucking poking at me until I fucking get off at him. And then he's, just like that, as usual, friendship over. That's the way Tim's always been. You have one disagreement with him. One disagreement, friendship over. That's it. That's it. Friendship over. Fucking weird how you can just, at the snap of fingers, I'm deleting you on Facebook, I'm blocking you on Facebook, we are not to talk. That's it. Friendship over. Friendship over. That's it. Really fucking weird. He did it all the time. You have one argument with him, that's it. You're on the shit list and you're not going to be friends ever again. So how can you fucking trust someone like that who's that easy to just fucking give up on a friendship? So after all that fucking bullshit with me, he appears at Seasons Beatings, ICWS Seasons Beatings, and wrestles Kyle on the show. And he was a bit weird with me that day. Just the way he said hello, it was like, you little fucking cunt. Like, talk to me normally, be a man, don't fucking act like you're all that. It's just, he's obviously stoned as well. It's just like, God, you're a sad fucking sack, dude. A sad sack. Christmas Carnage 2015 rolls around. Jacob needs an opponent as Lowe dropped out of the title match. It was supposed to be Jacob versus Lowe. I suggest to Jacob, Tim. I don't know why I keep doing this to myself. I say, I know you two have been hanging out lately. Tim always said that he never got to wrestle you. Here's your chance to finally have a match. Tim happened to be with him at the time. So Jacob comes back to me and says, awesome. Yeah, we're in. I'm like, okay, cool. We've got a title match at Christmas Carnage 2015. Then Tim, after not responding to me in about 2-3 months, or 2 months, I don't know when it was, he's suddenly so easy to contact. I messaged him, no reply. He didn't even read the messages. No reply. Because I wanted to know, are we going forward with this fucking return or not? I know we had a disagreement, but fuck, let's fucking figure this out so you don't fuck my plans up. So he's so easy to contact all of a sudden. He's messaging me and he's making his demands of being a heel when he returns, and Jacob in this match has to be a babyface. Despite the fact he's the number one heel and he's the champion, he wants to have things his way. And he wants to be heel. I mean, fuck what you guys have been building for the last year. Jacob will have to be babyface in this match because I want to be the heel. And I tell him, well, that's not what's going to happen. You need to be babyface for this match because you're against the number one heel. That's what makes sense, cunt. And we would tell a story of how you were the one that took out Lowe. And it'll be revealed later on so that we could do the Jacob match, get the pop for Tim's return, be the babyface. Then we'll reveal the heel turn at the next show, which would then set up Brian Lowe versus Tim Justice at Resolution 4 in what could be both of their very last match. Well, the day arrives. Tim on the day once again says that what he wants to do. And I told him, don't do it. It's not going to work. He's a heel. Don't fucking do it. Just be a babyface. We'll tell the story later. Jacob comes up to me later on with concerns that Tim isn't listening to him and is telling Jacob he's going to be heel and Tim is calling the match. The Tim return happens. The theme song hits. Antilicus has had a promo, said Lowe's not here. He doesn't know where he is. He's chickened out. All of a sudden, here comes the return of Tim Justice. The first time we've seen Tim Justice in WCWA since Frostbite 2012. At this point, been 2.5 years or however long, and he was back. A little bit of a pop for him. Gets in the ring, has the mic, and then proceeds to shit the bed. What did he do? He shat the bed. He went and shit in his bed. He shat a bed. I don't know however other many ways there are to say it, but he shat the bed. He shit himself whilst being in a bed. He shat the bed. Shat the bed. Because, first of all, he wouldn't stop swearing, which, guess what that gets Noel to say? Guess how Noel responds to that? Stop your swearing, you bloody donkey. There's families in the area. Said it a bit louder and angrier than that, but interrupted Tim's promo. Everyone started laughing, and Tim looked fucking embarrassed because he just got fucking shut the fuck down by Noel motherfucking Wallace. And so he continues his promo. Well, I think this is before Noel cut him off, but in the promo he said just stupid shit. And this is once again, if you fucking talk to me about it, maybe we can avoid you saying stupid shit so that you don't look like a fucking idiot in front of everyone. He says to Antilochus, "You're still the same washed up piece of shit that I remember." Guess what the visual of the situation was from Tim's point of view when he says that? Antilochus is standing in front of him with the WZWA Heavyweight Championship over his shoulder. And behind him, his tag team partner has the GBYWN Australian Heavyweight Championship. Washed up? They couldn't have been more fucking relevant, you stupid fucking idiot. So he said dumb shit because he doesn't know how to cut a promo. He just uses... In any other circumstance, that's a great line. It is a good line, but in that circumstance, it made no sense. Tim didn't get it. That's the thing. He thought the idea, whatever idea that came to his head, he thought that idea right then and there, that's the best possible idea right now. And if you apply logic and common sense, then you'll see, Tim, that every idea you had was shit. And that's why you killed the crowd with your promo. The match happens. Jacob gets basically no offense in the match. Tim just tries to get himself over by doing a fucking swanton or some other shit. Then Tim gets blown up because, he's unfit and calls for the finish. Jacob hits him with the Antilla cutter and wins in about 7 minutes. Jacob's pissed about the match. Jacob hated the match. Said to me, "Don't upload it. Don't want it in the recap. Don't upload it." I got a kick out of uploading it, to be honest, because it's perfect. It encapsulates everything that is fucking wrong with Tim. He fucked everything that he possibly could fuck up. After the show, Jacob's waiting, looking for Tim. Tim's supposed to be give him a lift home. Jacob's got to get home. Tim just left Jacob there. Just left. Oh, and by the way, he borrowed Dan Zeppelin's knee pads that day for his match, and then Dan never saw the knee pads again. Reminds me of Dark Ice's CZW DVDs that Tim borrowed and no one ever saw again. So Jacob cracked the shits at Tim, why did you fucking leave me there? And Tim was like, "I'm going through a hard time, my granddad just died." It's like, fucking hell, man. How many times do you have to always use the excuse, "I'm having a hard time," for the reason that you're being a cunt to people? You can't keep saying, "I'm having a hard time, that's why I'm being a cunt." You know what? You're not having a hard time. You're just being a cunt, and you're trying to come up with a reason and gain some sympathy so people will leave you alone when you're being a cunt. So Jacob told Tim that he hated the match. They have a falling out. Tim blocks Jacob. I don't know what... Yeah, Tim blocked Jacob. But Jacob's pissed off because his tent is in the back of Tim's car. And I believe Jacob's dad or something like that had planned some sort of camping thing, and Jacob needed the tent very soon. So they had it with that situation. And... Jacob still doesn't have the tent, which is fucked up. And of course, after this had happened, Tim stops replying to me again. I need a beer for this shit, that's for sure. The day of the next show, Line in the Sand, 6th of February 2016. It's the day of the show. And Tim hadn't been replying to me for 2 months, because we didn't have a show in January, so it was about 2 months. All of a sudden, Tim starts messaging me non-stop early in the morning. He messages Jacob, and he's like, you know, I know I fucked up. I'm sorry. Can I come to the show? Can I still be a part of the show? And finally, I'd had enough. I'm the kind of guy that will continue to give people chances, and I don't know why I do it. I do it in hopes that at some point they'll stick to their promise and do the right thing. I always, have that hope. I mean, look at Arthur Aries. I gave him 4 chances, and he no-showed 4 times. And I gave him another chance, and he fucked off, and then he had a go at me for it. But then I gave him another chance, fucking ages after that, right near the end of WCWA. And he was the best Arthur Aries that we had ever seen. He got to leave Backyard Wrestling with his head held high. He avenged the stupidity of his decisions from a few years prior. And now he's fucking happy that he doesn't live with regret. I don't want anyone to live with regret. So I gave Aries another chance, and he proved himself, and everyone was fucking proud of him. He did so fucking good. And that's why I give people chances, to see things like that happen. Aries is a fucking good dude. Shout out to Aries. So I finally had enough. And I said, Tim, I don't think you're welcome. Really. You can come if you like, but I don't know if you should. You got to sort this thing out with Jacob. That's why I don't think you'll be welcome. If you rock up and you haven't sorted it out with Jacob, he's probably going to hit you, dude. Then Tim does his usual fishing. He fishes. He always did this. He always fished. Do the guys even really want me there? Oh, I won't come then because the guys obviously just don't want me there. And this time, I had nothing to say. I was like, dude, whatever. I've got a show to run. If you want to come, come. If you don't, don't. I'm tired of fucking, feeding your ego and saying, no, dude, we really want you there. At this point, I've fucking had enough. Fucking apologise to Jacob, give him his tent back, and then we'll fucking talk. Jacob doesn't give a fuck about his apology or whatever. He just wants his tent back. Tim doesn't show up. So all year, none of us hear from Tim. I think Dan Zeppelin heard from him once when obviously Tim was looking for weed because, all of a sudden you get a message from him. Hey man, how you doing? Yeah, good bro, what's up? Oh, not a lot, just chilling, how about you? Yeah, same. What else is going on? No reply. No reply for like days. Weeks. Obviously, he messaged like 5, 6, 7 different people at the time, and at that point in the conversation with the small talk, he had found his weed and he was already off getting the weed, and fuck Dan Zeppelin and fuck that conversation. Oh god. That's not how friends talk to friends. So another story along in 2016 takes place. Tim DJs at Lowe's girlfriend's birthday and got paid up front for it. I think it was like $150 or some shit. During the DJ set, he's got his girlfriend there, and they go out the front and they smoke a joint or whatever. Cool. Comes back, does a bit more DJing. He keeps leaving it on like a random mix that can just mix itself or whatever. I don't know how to fucking say these things, but he's got something that's like an autopilot for his DJ thing, so he can go off and do as he pleases. And Lowe's getting pissed off because he's like, I paid you money, motherfucker, like DJ the whole time. You're supposed that's what you're here for. I didn't pay $150 for you to put it on, you know, some automated fucking bullshit. You're supposed to be DJing. Anyway, Tim's out the front for fucking ages at some point. I mean, I'm probably telling, you know, half the story here, but this is what I remember the story being. He was gone for ages. Someone unplugged the DJing, the auxiliary cord, and plugged in their phone so they could actually listen to some real songs. Because people want to hear some real songs like, y'all gon' make me lose my mind. Up in here, up in here. Y'all gon' make me go all out. Up in here, up in here. Y'all gon' make me act a fool. Up in here, up in here. Y'all gon' make me lose my cool. Up in here, up in here. So, that's the kind of music that the people wanted to hear. And when Tim returns and finds that someone's unplugged his music and put their phone on, Tim apparently loses his fucking mind and fucking carrying on. You know, I don't know what he said, but he was yelling and carrying on, taking all of his stuff, putting it in his car, and he fucked off with the money. And it was only early into the party, and it was like his girlfriend's 18th birthday. It was her big night, and then after that, everyone left because the vibe of the party had been ruined. And Tim was basically a massive cunt and had a huge falling out with Lowe that night. And Lowe said he wanted to fucking beat the shit out of him, all this stuff. Man, it was really, that was an eye-opening story, that's for sure. He can't even show his own cousin respect. So I don't hear from Tim until the day of the Dan Zeppelin, Chris Zeppelin, Daniel Johnston Hall of Fame night, excuse me. He asks to return for one more match. I mentioned Resolution 5. I think this is like October 2016 or some shit. I mentioned Resolution 5 in April. And that's going to be the last event. But also mentioned he needs to make amends with people. So he said, oh yeah, cool, the last event would be good. I'm like, okay, cool. But you need to make amends with people before you come back. And he's like, what are you talking about? I guess if everyone hates me, then I won't bother then. I'm like, no, I mean, not everyone hates you. I mean, fucking Deacon doesn't hate you. Steele doesn't hate you. But, like, there's some people you obviously have problems with. Well, who? Fucking tell me who then. Not everyone hates me, Carl, then don't fucking make it seem like they do. And it's like, do we have to have a fucking confrontation every time we talk? I'm trying to talk to you man to fucking man right now via Facebook Messenger. But man to fucking man, you have a problem with Jacob, you probably have a problem with Jack, you have a problem with Chris, you need to sort it out. Your cousin's probably going to be there, so you need to sort your shit out with him. Doesn't respond to me. And I'm like, fucking whatever. We can't even have one fucking conversation all these months later without you fucking starting an argument with me. Fuck you. Fucking starts messaging me, hey man, I saw our Halloween Hell 2010 match earlier today and thought, man, that was such a great match. Oh, fuck off. Trying to fucking schmooze with me, cunt. Fucking get your way. You're not going to get shit from me. Anyway. You lied about being okay with Jacob and all this stuff. Haha, man, you have no idea me and Jacob are cool now. It's like, well, okay, I asked Jacob like a few days later and Jacob's like, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. He's still got my tent. So I didn't hear from him again until about 3 weeks from Resolution 5. I put up a post on the WCWA fan page where basically it was a picture of the Curtain Call logo, our second last show, and I tagged every single person who had been a part of WCWA over the years in the photo. He had obviously seen it and realised coming up in a couple of weeks is the final WCWA show. So he messages me. I'm like, oh God. Fuck, I thought we were going to get through this without him, you know. But he messages me and to his credit he was apologising. But I'd heard the bullshit apologies before. But like I felt like he was being sincere. And, I'm really sorry the last time we spoke. I was just, in a bad mood that day, and things haven't been going so well, and, I feel bad, and I really would like to be a part of the last show. And I'm like, oh, God, Carl, you're such a fucking softie. Like, why can't you just fucking say no and that's it? But, once again, don't want people to live with regret. So, I say, just leave it with me, because I've got to ask the boys what they think, man. And he's like, I understand. So he's actually been real with me for the first time in fucking a long time. So I asked everyone in the thread, do we want to give Tim another chance? Can he be a part of the last show? Despite all the shit he's done over the years and how crazy he's driven me over the years, he seems legit this time. I don't know if he's just bullshitting or not. He seems legit. Can he be at the last show? Will Chris, Jack, Jacob, will you hate him? Will you be willing to talk to him, accept his apology, whatever? Everyone was cool with it. And everyone's like, he did do a lot for us over the years. Why not? Let's let him get his closure as well. So I said to him, okay, dude, we've got the all clear. And lucky for you, Vincent Graves, Gareth, doesn't have a match. He needs an opponent. Immediately he scoops it up. Yep, I'll take it. Awesome. Can't wait. This is going to be awesome. So I'm like, cool. So, we get to the week of the show and he hasn't responded to me in a few days. And so I think I got Monet to message him, to message me, because I needed to know, are you coming or not? So I messaged, are you coming? Yeah, I think so. I might have work though. And I'm like, that's fine, because it's a day and night show, so you can make it, right? Yeah, it should be okay. Okay, cool. So then another day goes by. Hey man, have you got work? No reply. So I don't hear from him again at all. And it's like, getting to like 2 days before the show, I haven't heard from him. Lo messages me and says, hey man, have you given more thought about who I could wrestle at the last show? And I'm like, fuck, I forgot. And Lo wanted to wrestle me, but I'm like, bro, I've only got one match in me on the day. I can't do two because I'll fuck up the second match, because that's supposed to be my last match and I'll be too fucked, I don't want to ruin my last match by wrestling twice. So I said, look man, Gareth, you're supposed to wrestle Tim. Tim hasn't been responding to me. Do you want to wrestle Gareth? And Lo's like, yeah, cool man. I don't know the guy, but any chance to be on the show, I want to be there for the last one. I'm like, okay, cool man. So the day of Resolution 5, the final event, is here. And we're just over an hour here into the Ballad of Tim Justice, and we're getting down to the wire here. At the train station, Whitford's train station, Big Ace, my boy, Big Ace sees Tim at Whitford's train station. And Ace asks him, are you coming to the show? And Tim says, yes, he's coming. So, the show's people are arriving. Ace arrives. I think Monet or someone ran up to me. Man, Ace said Tim's at the trainer. I'm like, oh, well, fuck. He hasn't responded to me. What am I supposed to fucking do with him now? Gareth's against Lo now. I don't know what to do with Tim. So I was like thinking, well, if he comes, I'll try and think of something, off the top of my head. But he didn't show up. It's just really peculiar behaviour once again. Like, he's at Whitford's train station. He sees Big Ace. He tells Ace he's coming to the show. And then he doesn't come to the show. And that's the last I've heard about Tim. I haven't heard anything since. And that's pretty much it. That's the Ballad of Tim Justice, He's just a confusing dude. When he was in Schwa, he's supposed to wrestle Eli. Didn't show up and never contacted anyone from Schwa again. He would have people's things and they would never get them back. Ice's CCW DVDs, Jacob's tent, Dan Zeppelin's knee pads. He's like the fucking Bermuda Triangle of friendship, you know? He has something of yours, you never see it again. That koala mask outfit he had at EPW, never seen that. They've never had that back. They want it back. He's never given it back. Where do these things fucking go? Does he sell this shit so he has money or something? I don't know. I'm not accusing him of anything like that, but it's just fucking weird behaviour. You know, if he ever has anything of yours, you never see it again. It's just weird. But overall, the Ballad of Tim is it's about an insecure person who at times has an ego, who does the wrong thing a lot of the time, and will be pretty... You know, he will stick up for himself for as long as it takes until finally someone has poked enough holes in his argument that he fucking crumbles and fucking breaks down and says, I'm crying, I'm sorry, I'm such a bad person, you're right, blah, blah, blah. That happened a lot of times. He'd be up on his high horse for a long time saying this is how it is, and then finally after his argument had enough holes poked in it, he would fall to fucking pieces. Just really weird. And he would immediately go for that sympathy vote. And this is what I believe will be on Tim Justice's Tim Justice's gravestone. Here lies Tim Justice. Quotation marks. I'm having a hard time. If he could have only just fucking relaxed and been one of the boys and stopped trying to go in a million directions at once and just set his eyes on one goal and listened to people and realised that not all the time were his instincts correct, things might be different. He left yarding too soon. He missed out on a lot of memories, and now he's strained so many relationships that now none of us in the group even see him anymore. He left pro wrestling when things got hard and he owed EPW hundreds of dollars, and I have a friend of mine who's confirmed that. He lied about a back injury when he was fine. He never listened to any idea I had or respected my position in WZWA. Don't know what it was like for Chris Zeppelin or anyone else, but he never respected my position or listened to me. And he constantly wanted to feel accepted and feel like somebody that is important without really earning it, because he broke people's trust, he lied, he did the wrong thing a lot of the time. Yes, sometimes he did some very cool things and he was very helpful, but the story of Tim is one of just confusion, and boy, I just wouldn't like to be him. I just think that there's so much bullshit there that he can't see through it, and he doesn't even know he's lying when he's lying. It's weird. So the final thing I'll say is the facts of his yarding career. His win-loss record in WZWA is the Great Shinigami. 2 wins, 7 losses, 1 no contest. Tim Justice in WZWA, 1 win, 5 losses. Shinigami in ICWS, 0 wins, 1 loss. Tim Justice in ICWS, 1 win, 12 losses. Overall, 4 wins in his whole career. 19 losses. Numbers don't lie. And that was the GBYWN Australia podcast, The Ballad of Tim Justice. I hope that this was interesting for you all to hear. I hope it was entertaining. I know it got off to a slow start, but you have to bear with me. I've only actually had 1 beer since being home, but I wanted to record this and send this all out to you so you can finally hear the full story of the life and times of Tim Justice in backyard wrestling. And if he ever hears this, bro, I ain't mad at you. I ain't got nothing but love for you. But all you had to fucking do was make that last show and make amends with everyone, and maybe things would be different. But the fact is, the common denominator in this situation is none of the guys talk to you anymore. And there's only one person to blame, and that's the man looking in the mirror. Thank you for listening to the GBYWN Australia podcast. I am Aston Crude, and I'll be with you next time when I interview sadistic Vincent Graves.